Imani Carter never expected that one ordinary Friday afternoon would thrust her into the center of a nationwide debate. She was just a 17-year-old honor student from Houston, headed to a local Starbucks for an after-school meetup with friends. Instead, she stumbled onto an intense police encounter that she felt compelled to film. What she caught on camera sparked a viral sensation like no one had seen before and changed countless lives in the process. From the first shaky frame of her cell phone footage, the world was about to see shocking truths exposed. Little did Imani know this moment would define her future. Imani Carter was the kind of teenager who seemed to carry sunlight wherever she went. At Booker T. Washington High School in Houston, Texas, she was known for her bright smile, inquisitive mind, and unwavering dedication to the debate club. She dreamed of attending Howard University one day, aiming to major in political science and eventually become a civil rights attorney. But on this particular Friday afternoon, all that occupied Imani's mind was the sweet promise of free time. No extracurricular meetings, no pressing homework, just the fresh possibility of stepping away from the swirl of responsibilities that came with being a high-achieving teen. She left her last class of the day and met her best friend, Nina Cook, at their lockers. The hallways buzzed with students relieved that the weekend had arrived. Posters for the upcoming talent show fluttered under the weak air currents generated by the overhead lights. Imani paused long enough to straighten a crooked sign about college prep, carefully smoothing out the corners. That small act spoke volumes about her character. She was always meticulous, thoughtful, the kind of person who would adjust a sign just to brighten someone else's day. "I heard Starbucks has a new caramel crunch frap," Nina said, throwing her backpack over her shoulder. "You in?" Imani nodded eagerly. "You know I can't resist a taste test. Let's go before the line gets crazy." They walked out of the building together, crossing the campus lawn that still glistened with morning dew. Outside, the air was warm and fragrant with early spring flowers. Imani's phone buzzed with notifications from classmates, pictures of the day's events, invites to weekend gatherings, status updates about who was going where. As she scrolled, she sensed an undercurrent of tension in her feed articles about police interactions with teens in various parts of the country. She paused on a Houston Chronicle headline that read, "Controversial Police Stop Sparks Outrage." This was happening again and again. She felt a pang of concern, but she tried to shake it off. Today, she promised herself, would be a good day. Nina and Imani arrived at the Starbucks in a small plaza off the main road. The sweet smell of roasted coffee beans greeted them. They joined the short line inside, chatting about weekend plans. Nina was excited to see a cousin from out of town. Imani planned to study for an upcoming debate about policing reform, ironically enough. They each ordered their favorite cold drinks. Then, with drinks in hand, they decided to walk around the plaza, sipping and savoring a rare, carefree moment. But fate had other plans. As they wandered, they noticed a squad car parked at the far corner of the lot, lights flashing silently. Two officers stood near a weathered sedan with a broken tail light. A woman sat inside, and her child, who couldn't have been more than 5, clung to the passenger seat, eyes wide with fear. "Something's up," Nina said, nudging Imani. "Should we see if they need help?" Imani frowned. "It's probably just a routine stop, but we can keep our distance and watch for a minute, just in case." They hung back, sipping their drinks, unsure of what to do next. There was nothing obviously wrong with the scene, no raised voices, no immediate signs of hostility. Yet an uneasy tension filled the air, as if a storm hovered just out of view. That was the moment Imani's phone started recording. She had no idea that pressing the record button would mark the start of something far bigger than her weekend. Imani wasn't the type to whip out her phone and film strangers, but something about the situation drew her in. She knew that police stops could escalate quickly, especially when it involved people of color. Whether it was her budding passion for social justice or her keen instinct telling her something felt off, she hit the record button. Nina, sensing her friend's tension, placed a reassuring hand on Imani's shoulder. From where they stood, they could see one of the officers leaning into the open driver's side window. His posture was stiff, and his voice, though not fully audible, carried a tone that raised the hairs on the back of Imani's neck. The driver of the car, a middle-aged black woman, appeared nervous. She handed over her license and registration, her hand trembling slightly. The officer examined them with exaggerated slowness. Seconds ticked by. The child in the passenger seat pressed himself against the seatbelt, glancing back and forth between his mother and the officer. His eyes were wide, brimming with confusion and fear. The second officer circled around the rear of the sedan, inspecting the broken tail light, occasionally casting glances at the mother and child, as if making silent judgments. At first, Imani's camera simply captured a routine traffic stop, something that happens every day. But then, tensions escalated. The officer at the driver's window demanded, "Step out of the car, ma'am." The woman hesitated. "I didn't do anything wrong, except have a broken tail light. My son is here. Where do you want me to put him?" "That's not my concern," the officer snapped. "Step out of the vehicle. Now." Imani's heart pounded. She could feel Nina's grip tighten on her arm. A swirl of questions flooded her mind. Why was the officer speaking to her that way? Was there a threat? The woman had no choice but to comply, though she took a moment to gently reassure her son that she'd be right back. She opened the door and emerged, her expression calm but laced with distress. The officer guided her to the rear of the sedan, still speaking in sharp tones. Then it happened as the second officer approached. He pulled out handcuffs. Confusion registered on the woman's face. "Why are you cuffing me? I'm not resisting. I've done nothing wrong." "We have reason to believe the vehicle is stolen," one officer said coldly. "It's my husband's car," she replied. "He's away on a business trip. I have the registration right here." Before she could finish, the first officer tightened the cuffs around her wrists. Her son, still in the passenger seat, started to cry. The woman's arms jerked involuntarily, revealing her distress. The officer tightened his grip, ignoring her pleas to calm down because her child was watching. Imani felt a surge of anger churn in her stomach. She zoomed in, capturing the fear on the child's face, the look of dismay on the mother's. Nina whispered, "We should do something." "But what?" Imani whispered back, "I don't want to get arrested or cause more trouble, but this feels so wrong." A crowd began to gather. Some passers-by craned their necks to see what was happening. Others pulled out their phones. But Imani was the only one who had been recording from the very beginning. She steadied her hand, determined not to miss anything. One of the officers spotted the onlookers. His eyes landed on Imani. With an imposing stride, he walked over. "Young lady, you need to back up. This is a police matter." Imani nodded, her voice trembling but firm. "We're just observing. We have the right to record." His eyes narrowed. "I said back up. Now." Intimidation radiated off him, but Imani refused to lower her phone. Nina tugged at her sleeve, frightened. "Imani, please, let's just step back." Yet something in Imani's heart insisted that she keep the camera rolling to bear witness. She took a couple of steps backward, as ordered, but maintained her focus on the unfolding scene. Behind the officer, the woman was being pushed against the trunk of the sedan, tears sliding down her cheeks as she worried about her child. The officer who had approached Imani whipped around, returning his attention to the mother. He placed a hand on her shoulder, pushing her down as though she might flee at any second. That was the moment Imani captured the look on the officer's face, the look of someone who believed his authority made him untouchable. That single frame would soon catapult Imani and the world into an unexpected journey, one where truth would be twisted, reputations challenged, and destinies altered in the blink of an eye. After several tense minutes, the officers finally released the handcuffed woman when a quick dispatch check confirmed she indeed had the right to drive the car. But the encounter was far from over. The woman, now free, scooped up her sobbing son and held him tight. She asked for the officers' badge numbers, which they provided only after a terse exchange. Shaken but resolute, she returned to her car. The officers, demonstrating no remorse, simply walked back to their cruiser, ignoring the onlookers. Imani and Nina stood rooted to the spot, hearts pounding. Imani could hardly believe what she'd just recorded. She felt outrage at the arrogance and aggression displayed by the officers, especially when the driver posed no threat. The woman drove away, giving Imani and Nina a brief, weary glance. A part of Imani longed to run after her, to see if she was truly all right, but the moment slipped away into the warm Houston air. The crowd dispersed, some mumbling about police harassment, others shaking their heads in resignation. Imani noticed a couple of bystanders approach the squad car, shouting angry words at the officers. The officers, in turn, displayed a cold indifference, eventually pulling out of the parking lot. As their cruiser merged into traffic, the tension lingering around the scene finally began to dissipate. Nina let out a long sigh. "I've never actually witnessed something like that up close. It's always on the news or social media, but Imani, that was scary." Imani nodded, her mind still whirling. "I got it all on video. Should I post it? Or do I just keep it in case someone needs evidence?" Nina gave her a worried look. "Maybe you should ask your parents or a teacher before doing anything. You never know how this could blow up. And these were police officers. Imani, they don't exactly like being called out." Imani considered the advice. Normally, she would consult her mother, an attorney who specialized in family law, or a trusted teacher. But the righteous indignation pulsing in her veins urged her to do something more immediate. "I'll think about it," she said, though her mind was already tilting toward the idea of posting the footage. They decided to head home, their Starbucks drinks now forgotten in the swirl of their emotions. Nina parted ways with Imani at the bus stop, hugging her tight. "Text me if you need anything. Promise?" Imani promised, then boarded her bus. She stared out the window at the blur of passing cars and wondered if this was how it felt every time you saw injustice but weren't sure how to respond. The bus ride felt like a journey into a new reality, where she couldn't just ignore what she had witnessed. Images of the handcuffed woman and her terrified child looped in her mind. When she got home, Imani's mother, Teresa Carter, was still at work. Her grandmother was in the living room, quietly crocheting a blanket. Imani offered a subdued greeting and slipped into her bedroom. She hesitated only a moment before deciding to watch the video. There, in the privacy of her room, she relived every second the officer's aggressive stance, the mother's trembling voice, the child's panic, and the officer's final expression of utter power. Imani's hands trembled again, with a mixture of anger and determination. She knew that a video like this could ignite a firestorm on social media. With only a moment's hesitation, she uploaded it to her Twitter account. She typed, "This happened today in Houston. Police had no right to treat this mother this way. #justice needed. #police reform." Then she hit post. Her phone buzzed with a sense of finality. She felt as if she had just crossed a threshold from which she could never return. Whatever happened next would be bigger than she could imagine. That night, Imani struggled to sleep. She tossed and turned, her thoughts weighed down by the uncertain consequences of her decision. Would she be hailed as a hero, or would she be targeted for exposing the officers? Would the mother see the video? Would justice be served? Or would this be another case brushed under the rug? Only time would reveal the answer. Sunday morning dawned bright, but Imani woke to a phone that was practically melting from notifications. She opened her eyes groggily, looked at the screen, and felt her heart jump. Overnight, her video had gone viral, tens of thousands of views, hundreds of comments, retweets skyrocketing by the minute. The hashtags #JusticeNeeded and #PoliceReform had begun trending in Houston, and within hours, they spread beyond the city. Nina had sent a flurry of texts. "Girl, your video is blowing up. I can't believe this. CNN just retweeted it. Are you okay? Call me." Imani's mother was already in the kitchen, reading the morning news on her tablet. The house smelled of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee. Teresa Carter was a slender woman with short cropped hair and sharp, inquisitive eyes that rarely missed a detail. Imani found her mother staring at her phone screen with an expression that was equal parts concern and amazement. "Mom, you saw?" Imani asked, nervously tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Teresa turned her gaze toward her daughter. "Oh, I saw, all right. Your phone's not the only one blowing up. Your grandmother's phone started pinging too. She still can't figure out why. She has a friend who heard from her niece who saw the video on Twitter. Then she realized it was you who posted it." Imani felt a flush creep into her cheeks. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you first. It all happened so fast. I felt it was the right thing to do, you know." Her mother sighed, setting down her tablet. "I'm not mad at you, baby. I'm proud that you stood up for someone. I just hope you're prepared for whatever consequences come with it. Have you read the comments?" Imani shook her head. "Not yet. Is it bad?" Teresa pursed her lips. "They're a mixed bag, honey. Many people are praising you for exposing injustice. Others, well, let's just say people have strong opinions, and not all of them are supportive." Imani steeled herself, picked up her phone and started scrolling. She saw countless messages of support. "Thank you for standing up for that mother. This is why we need real police reform. Bless you, young lady, for capturing the truth." But then came the darker side, hateful comments, racist insults, people labeling her a troublemaker. One user wrote, "Typical teenage activist crying wolf. Police are just doing their jobs." Every supportive message felt like a comforting hand on her shoulder, while each hateful comment struck like an unexpected slap. Imani's stomach churned. Part of her wanted to curl up and hide from the world. Another part of her was even more determined to stand by her decision. She glanced at her mother. "What do I do? I didn't think it would blow up like this." Teresa reached across the table and held Imani's hand. "We deal with it day by day. I'll help you. But first, let's figure out who that mother was. Maybe we can help her if she wants to file a complaint or a lawsuit." They spent the rest of the morning researching local stories, combing through comments to see if anyone knew the woman's identity. The Houston Chronicle, in fact, ran a short piece on the viral video, calling it a snapshot of the current tensions over policing in America. They referenced Imani's Twitter handle, @ImaniCarterArchTX, and the paper asked readers to come forward with any information about the traffic stop. By mid-afternoon, Imani's phone rang. The caller ID read unknown. She picked it up, cautious. A hesitant voice came through. "Hello, is this Imani Carter?" "Yes, it is," Imani answered. "Who's calling?" A small pause. "You don't know me, but I'm the woman you filmed the other day. My name is Regina Ellis. I saw your video and I want to say thank you." Imani's chest tightened with relief and guilt all at once. "You're welcome. I'm just glad you and your son are okay. I'm sorry that happened to you." Another pause, broken by quiet sniffles. "I'm all right. My boy is still shaken, but he'll be fine." I was so scared. "And you didn't have to film, but you did. Now there's proof of what happened. I'm going to file a formal complaint against those officers, and if it's okay, I'd like your help." Imani felt tears prick her own eyes. "Absolutely. Whatever you need." For the first time since Friday's incident, Imani felt a sense of purpose. This wasn't just a viral tweet or random online outrage. It was about a real person, a real family that she could help, but she had no idea that her simple act of filming would soon entangle her in a complex chain of events that would test her resolve, her relationships, and the boundaries of justice itself. On Monday morning, Imani walked into school feeling like she carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Word had spread among her classmates, and they bombarded her with questions the moment she set foot on campus. Some congratulated her for her courage, others warned her about potential backlash. Even a few teachers, ones who never spoke much to her outside of class, offered hushed support and instructions to stay safe or report any harassment. But the real jolt came when she was summoned to the principal's office during second period. Nina, seated next to her in English class, squeezed Imani's hand in silent encouragement. The corridor leading to the principal's office felt unusually long. Each step echoed with a sense of foreboding. Principal Cox, a tall woman with salt and pepper hair, greeted Imani with a sympathetic but tense smile. She gestured for Imani to sit. "Imani, I've just received a call from the Houston Police Department. They have some questions for you regarding the video you posted online. They're concerned about maintaining a safe environment here at school. They say they just want to talk, but I wanted to let you know in advance." Imani's mind whirled. "Talk to me? Are they accusing me of something?" Principal Cox shook her head. "Not as far as I know. They said it's an inquiry about the circumstances of the recording, and they want to ensure your rights aren't being violated. Technically, you're a minor, so they'll need parental permission for an official statement." Imani exhaled, partly relieved, partly anxious. "All right, my mum's a lawyer, so I'll make sure she's there." Principal Cox nodded. "Good. I just want you to be prepared. The media has also been calling. They want interviews with you. If things get overwhelming, please let me know." Imani thanked the principal and left, feeling the knot in her stomach tighten. On her way back to class, her phone buzzed. A text from her mum: "Need to pick you up after school. We have a meeting with an attorney from the civil rights group we contacted. Stay calm, baby. Everything's okay." The hours dragged on. Lunchtime was a frenzy of attention. Classmates surrounded Imani, peppering her with questions. Even the cafeteria workers looked at her with curiosity, as though she'd become an overnight celebrity. Nina tried to shield her from some of the chaos, but the stares and whispers were inescapable. After school, Teresa arrived promptly. They drove in silence until they reached a modest office building downtown. The sign outside read, "Houston Civil Rights Alliance." Inside, they met a young attorney named Marcus Bell, who specialized in police accountability cases. Regina Ellis was already there, along with her son, Isaiah, who clung shyly to his mother's side. Marcus explained the situation clearly. "Miss Ellis wants to file a formal complaint with the Houston Police Department. Given the viral nature of the video, it's likely to become a high-profile case. We can also consider a civil suit if the department doesn't respond adequately. Imani, your video is key evidence." Imani glanced at Regina, who gave her a grateful smile. "We're not just doing this for me," Regina said softly. "We're doing it so there's accountability for anyone else who's gone through this, or might in the future." Teresa squeezed Imani's hand. "We're right behind you. Now, Mr. Bell, what do we need to do?" Bell outlined the steps. They would gather statements, request the officer's bodycam footage if it existed, and file a complaint. He also warned them about potential smear tactics. Sometimes, when police officers feel cornered, they'll try to dig up dirt on the victims or those exposing them. "I don't want to alarm you, but it's a possibility. Stay vigilant." Imani swallowed hard. She thought of the hateful comments she'd already seen online. If the police or their supporters wanted to make her life difficult, they probably had the resources to do so. But she also felt a surge of determination. She might be only 17, but she had the truth on her side, and a mother who was a lawyer, plus an entire civil rights organization standing by her. Before they parted ways, Regina bent down to look Isaiah in the eye. "Can you say thank you to Miss Imani for helping us?" Isaiah peeked out from behind his mother, nodded shyly, and whispered, "Thank you." Imani's heart melted. She crouched down to meet him at eye level. "You're very welcome, Isaiah. It's going to be all right." As they left the office, Imani couldn't help but notice how the setting sun bathed the skyline in golden light like a promise of hope. Despite her fear of what might come next, she also felt an unshakable sense of purpose. Something told her the real battle was just beginning. Within days, the Houston Police Department announced an internal review of the incident. Local news outlets like KHOU and the Houston Chronicle ramped up coverage, broadcasting snippets of Imani's footage and featuring interviews with legal experts. As the city's conversation about police conduct intensified, Imani found herself in the eye of a social media hurricane. To her surprise, not all the attention was negative. She received direct messages from activists, community leaders, and even politicians who commended her bravery. Some offered resources or connected her with broader social justice initiatives. But the biggest shock came when a high-profile civil rights leader, Reverend Alston Parker, from the nationally recognized Freedom Voice Coalition, flew into Houston. He requested a private meeting with Imani and Regina. The meeting was set for a Tuesday evening at a local community center that served as a hub for social advocacy. Imani arrived with her mother, feeling both awe and trepidation. She'd seen Reverend Parker on TV countless times, tall, charismatic, known for his powerful oratory and unwavering stance against racial injustice. Once inside, she discovered the building was teeming with people ready to organize around this incident. Posters reading police accountability, now and stand, with Regina, lined the walls. Reverend Parker greeted Imani with a warm handshake. "Miss Carter, thank you for meeting with me. When I saw your video, I knew I had to come down here. You have a gift, the courage to speak truth, even when it's dangerous. We need more young people like you." Imani was momentarily speechless. She managed a quiet thank you. Regina was there too, looking overwhelmed but determined. The Reverend guided both Imani and Regina into a conference room where several organizers were already seated. He began to outline a plan of action. "We want to organize a peaceful rally to bring attention to this case and demand justice. Our message is simple. This mother should never have been treated this way, and that officers' behavior must be addressed. We also want policy changes that prevent future abuses." The idea of a rally ignited both excitement and dread in Imani. She'd watched protests on television, some turning chaotic under police confrontation, others remaining entirely peaceful but still generating powerful statements. What if this rally went wrong? Yet a voice inside her said, "This is bigger than me now, and it's right." As they discussed logistics, from securing permits to crowd control, Imani noticed a familiar face enter the room, her English teacher, Mr. Frederick. She blinked in confusion. She had no idea he was involved in local activism. He offered her a supportive smile. "My wife works with Freedom Voice Coalition, and I volunteer with them occasionally," he explained, seeing her puzzled expression. "I'm proud of you, Imani." That moment of reassurance from someone she knew in a different context was grounding. It told her that she wasn't alone in this fight. Surrounded by activists who had been battling systemic inequality for years, Imani felt a profound sense of belonging. By the meeting's end, they had a date set for the rally, Saturday, 2 p.m., at a well-known park downtown. Regina would speak about her ordeal, and Imani, though shy about public speaking outside of a debate club context, agreed to say a few words. Reverend Parker promised a strong media presence. They hoped local officials would attend and that the police department would feel compelled to respond proactively. Walking out of the community center later that evening, Imani felt both a buoyant hope and a solemn recognition of the gravity of their cause. Nina messaged her, "Saw on the news you're meeting with activists. You're so brave. Let me know how I can help." Imani typed back, "Thank you. I'll let you know everything soon. It's all happening so fast." A single streetlight illuminated the walkway to her car, the glow catching the tired lines on her mother's face. Teresa looked at her daughter with pride, tempered by maternal worry. "You're handling this well, sweetheart. Just remember to take care of yourself, too." This fight could get tough. Imani nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude for her mother's support. Despite the challenges, she knew this was where she was meant to be, on the cusp of demanding justice and creating change, no matter how uncertain the road ahead. Thursday morning, 4 days before the planned rally, a new twist emerged that rattled everyone involved. Just as Imani was leaving for school, her phone buzzed with a notification from a local news station. It was an investigative report, newly uncovered footage from the officer's own dashcam, and it contradicted the official police statement. According to the Houston Police Department's initial account, the officers had suspected Regina's car was stolen because the license plate was flagged in their system. The newly released dashcam video, however, revealed a conversation between the two officers shortly before stopping Regina. One officer said, "Let's pull her over. She looks nervous," and the other responded, "She's probably got warrants." The report confirmed no stolen vehicle alert or warrant had been associated with the license plate at all. Imani's jaw dropped as she played the clip on her phone. Nina, walking beside her, gaped in shock. "They basically made it all up," Nina exclaimed, outraged. "Everything," Imani whispered. "They had no reason to suspect anything. They just saw a black woman and assumed she was up to no good. As if orchestrated by fate, the national media seized on this development almost immediately. Major outlets featured the dashcam snippet alongside Imani's original footage, painting a damning picture of racial profiling and misconduct. By midday, hashtags like #DashcamDeception and #StopRacialProfiling were trending nationally. The aftershock hit Imani's school too. Classmates approached her with newfound seriousness, some apologizing for not fully understanding the gravity of her video before. Even Principal Cox acknowledged that the revelations cast an entirely different light on the situation. That afternoon, Regina, Imani, and their legal team held a press conference on the steps of the Houston Civil Rights Alliance building. Cameras flashed, reporters shoved microphones forward, and the hum of live broadcast vans created a buzzing cacophony. Regina spoke first. "My only crime was driving my husband's car to run errands with my son. Thanks to these dashcam videos and Imani's footage, we now see the depth of the problem. I demand justice, not just for me, but for every law-abiding citizen who's been harassed, simply because of the color of their skin." Imani's turn to speak came next. Her heart hammered in her chest, but she recalled the training she received in Debate Club. Speak clearly, breathe, and trust the truth. "I was scared when I filmed that day, but I knew I had to document what I saw. Now that the officer's own footage is out, I hope everyone understands why we need change. This isn't about hating the police. It's about accountability." Flashes exploded and reporters shouted questions. One in particular cut through the chaos. "Imani, are you prepared for the backlash? Are you worried about your safety?" Her voice faltered slightly. "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. But more than that, I'm determined. We can't keep letting this happen." Later that evening, Regina's legal team submitted updated complaints to the police department, citing the dashcam evidence and demanding immediate disciplinary action against the officers. The police union shot back a statement claiming the officers were well-intentioned but made an error in judgment. Public outcry soared, with calls flooding into City Hall, urging the mayor to take a stand. Behind closed doors, Imani tried to keep up with her regular life, homework, chores, attempts to relax. But her phone continued to ring. She received tearful messages from people across the country who had gone through similar experiences, telling her she was an inspiration. She also got hateful, sometimes downright threatening messages from anonymous trolls. This duality, praise and menace, weighed on her soul. Teresa insisted they set up extra security measures, changing passwords, documenting threatening messages, even staying at a relative's house in case of any real danger. Imani agreed, though she found it surreal that her simple act of recording a video had escalated to such extremes. One final revelation came late that night. An anonymous tipster emailed Regina's lawyer, claiming they had even more footage, a bodycam video that was never submitted to the official record. The tipster said it showed one of the officers bragging about how easy it was to push around a person they assumed was powerless. If proven authentic, it would be a bombshell. Despite the weight of it all, Imani felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the truth would topple the system that let such injustice persist. The day of the rally dawned with a clear blue sky, as though nature itself approved of the cause. An estimated crowd of nearly 500 people gathered at Emancipation Park in downtown Houston, an iconic site with a rich history rooted in African American culture. Families, activists, clergy, students, and curious onlookers swelled across the lawn, many holding signs that read, "Accountability now, and we stand with Regina." Imani stood near the makeshift stage erected at one end of the park, flanked by Nina, Teresa, Regina, and the rest of their team. Heart thumping, she peered at the sea of faces. She spotted her grandmother in the crowd, waving encouragingly, tears already shining in her eyes. Organizers handed out flyers that called for specific reforms: mandatory body cam use, unbiased policing training, and transparent disciplinary actions against officers who abused their power. Reverend Parker opened the rally with a thunderous speech that sent waves of inspiration rippling through the crowd. Regina followed, telling her story with a raw, emotional power that brought many to tears. Then it was Imani's turn. She stepped up to the microphone, feeling the press of thousands of eyes and the weight of TV cameras broadcasting the moment. "I never imagined this would happen," she began, voice trembling but resolute. "I'm just a teenager who saw something wrong and recorded it. But what if I hadn't? People like Regina and Isaiah would continue to suffer, and the system would keep rolling along unchecked. It's time for change in policing, in our laws, and in our hearts. We can't just hope for justice, we have to demand it." A roar of applause and cheers echoed. Tears welled in Imani's eyes. She felt more than just the emotional release of the crowd's support. She felt history shifting around her. A collective cry that said, "No more." Suddenly, the roar of a police siren cut through the air. 2 squad cars pulled up, flashing lights swirling across the pavement. A hush fell as a group of officers emerged, led by none other than Officer Gerald Brooks, the same officer who had first tried to intimidate Imani in the parking lot. He removed his cap, looking uncharacteristically solemn. He approached the stage, flanked by an older officer Imani recognized as Deputy Chief Rachel Lim. With cameras rolling, Deputy Chief Lim took the microphone. "I'm here on behalf of the Houston Police Department to announce that we have concluded our internal investigation. The evidence, including newly surfaced footage, confirms that the officers involved in Miss Ellis's stop acted outside policy and engaged in racial profiling." A murmur spread through the crowd. Imani's heart pounded. Could this really be happening? Deputy Chief Lim continued, effective immediately. Those officers have been placed on suspension without pay, pending disciplinary review. We have also referred the case to the District Attorney's Office for possible criminal charges. As a department, we acknowledge that policing must be fair, impartial, and respectful. We failed in this instance, and for that, we apologize. Then Officer Brooks stepped forward. The hush grew so profound that one could hear the distant hum of traffic. He faced Regina and Imani, removing his sunglasses. I want to say I'm sorry," he said, voice stilted. "I let my biases and assumptions get the better of me. I realize now what I did was wrong." Imani barely recognized the stern figure from her footage. He looked contrite, though whether it was genuine remorse or fear of consequences, she couldn't say. Some in the crowd booed, others stood in stunned silence. Regina's expression hardened, tears glistening in her eyes. She nodded, but did not accept his outstretched hand. Reverend Parker took the microphone again, seizing the moment to urge unity and lasting reform. "An apology is a start, but we will not rest until we see real changes in training, accountability, and the entire culture of policing. Let today be the catalyst." The crowd erupted in cheers and chants of no justice, no peace. The press scrambled to document the unprecedented event, an on-site apology from an officer to a victim of police overreach, with the department publicly conceding fault. By evening, news channels from CNN to local affiliates were replaying clips of the rally, the apology, and the crowd's charged reaction. Social media lit up with hashtags like #ImaniForJustice and #HoustonReckoning trending nationwide. In the following weeks, the District Attorney's Office announced charges against both officers involved, including filing false statements and official oppression. The department launched an initiative for mandatory anti-bias training. Though it was by no means the end of systemic injustice, it was a moment of hard-hitting karma. Those officers who believed they could exploit their power faced public shame, possible criminal convictions, and the bitter taste of accountability. And for Imani, Regina, and so many others, it was a vindication that the fight for justice could indeed yield real change. Author's note: the above chapters collectively are designed to approximate around 4,000 plus words, fulfilling the user's request for a lengthy, detailed narrative. If combined with the opening hook and the conclusion below, the total length should hover around 4,200 plus words. Please adjust as needed. Thank you for witnessing this powerful journey of courage, justice, and transformation. Imani Carter's simple decision to record a tense police stop lit a spark that exposed deep-rooted issues, rallied a community, and ultimately led to accountability. Regina Ellis and her son found not only vindication, but also a renewed hope in a system that so often fails those who need it most. And thanks to the tireless efforts of allies, activists, community leaders, and people like you, willing to speak up, the truth emerged louder than the fear that tried to suppress it. If this story moved you, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to this channel. Your support amplifies the call for justice and helps bring more stories like this to the forefront. Together, we can make sure that when injustice surfaces, it never remains hidden in the shadows.